Death in the Harbour, written by Pauline Rowson and narrated by Jonathan Rhodes. Ryga thought it worth his while talking to the harbour master, who might know more about Swinley and his missing boat. He asked where he could locate him. That's Peter Hailsham. You'll find him at the watch house, just over there." Once again the pipe came out, and Ryga followed its direction to a yellow building with a red roof in the northernmost corner of Sleeper's Hole. He thanked Moore and headed towards it. Removing his hat, he entered the stuffy building where a smouldering coal fire was giving off more smoke than heat. After introducing himself with a show of his warrant card to a man in his mid-20s, Ryga asked to see the harbour master. A few minutes later, a strong-featured man with a heavily lined face, jutting chin, and beetling grey eyebrows under a permanently creased forehead appeared from the back room. Ryga felt it was difficult to put an age on him. He could have been anywhere between 45 and 65. He was lean and tall, but stooped, and his skin was slightly jaundiced, as were the whites of his eyes. He introduced himself with a firm but brief shake of his hand as Peter Hailsham and asked Ryga to follow him outside. Ryga was glad to do so, even though the December day seemed intent on chilling him to his bones, despite his hat, coat and scarf. Hailsham offered Ryga a cigarette, which he refused. "When was the last time you saw Constable Swinley?" Ryga began. "The Monday before he went missing," Hailsham answered, discarding the match and drawing on his cigarette. Ryga noted his heavily nicotine-stained fingers. "He was on duty?" "No, this was just after 1 o'clock. He was going down to work on his boat." "How did he seem?" "Same as usual." "Which was?" "Chatty, pleasant. We talked about the weather, the boat movements, the things people find washed up on West Beach." "Why the latter?" asked Ryga, wondering if it was of significance but not seeing how it could be. "Oh, it's always a topic of interest around these parts. Sometimes it's explosives, sometimes bits of cargo, other times it's what's left of some poor soul who took his life. You've no doubt had a few of them in the Thames." Ryga said that sadly he had. Hailsham continued, "Well, that's what might have happened to the owner of that." He pointed to the motor torpedo boat, which Ryga had noticed earlier from Myra's window. It had been stripped of its weaponry, and from the outside looked to have been skillfully converted into a home. "It was found drifting in the English Channel 4 weeks ago tomorrow, on the 12th of November, Hailsham said. "The captain on one of the cargo ships spotted her, and the Coast Guard and Customs launch brought her back here to Newhaven. It's not registered here, or at any of the ports on the south coast, but she could have come from further afield, or even from France. She's a lovely craft. I've been on board. She's beautifully refitted and cared for, but there's nothing to tell us who the owner is. No logbook, papers, no suicide letter either, but then maybe the owner didn't feel like writing one, or had no one left to tell," Hailsham added a little mournfully. Ryga saw the sadness in his eyes and wondered if Hailsham, like many, had lost loved ones in the war. Hailsham coughed chestily before continuing. "Still, you're not here to talk about that, but about Swinley. Personally, despite what the coroner said, I can't see George losing his footing." The fog was pretty thick, like Thursday night, thought Ryga, when Myra had vanished. Hailsham sucked on his cigarette. "When did you last see George's boat, Sunrise?" "Couple of days ago. Why?" Hailsham looked perplexed. "It's missing." "Who told you that?" "Joseph Moore." "Well, then he should know." He gazed southwards, frowning in thought, almost as if he was looking for sun.